All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to VGL. And as you guys know, Starfield is Bethesda's big comeback game. And from the looks of it, the experience is going to be very nice when we finally get our hands on it. Now, while we've gotten tons of official gameplay info and footage from Bethesda themselves, copies of the game are slowly starting to make their way into the wild thanks to press releases, review copies, and good old-fashioned leaks. And in today's video, we're going to go over absolutely everything that you guys need to know about this game's release and what you could expect from it on launch day. We've got a ton of news and information to go over. We're not going to cover any story spoilers, but if you guys want to know everything you should know about Starfield before it releases, stick around because we've got tons of information you guys are not going to want to miss. Be sure to let us know in the comment section if you are excited for Starfield. Drop a like in this video and let's get started. So first things first, let's talk about the file size, because obviously if you're planning on playing this game, you're going to need a hard drive, or rather a solid state drive for it. Just like many other AAA games nowadays, Starfield is absolutely huge. The official file size became public not too long ago, and assuming nothing changes before launch, Xbox players will need roughly 126 gigabytes of space to download it, while on PC you will need around 140 gigs of space. Preloading for Xbox and PC are live right now, assuming you're using the Xbox PC app, but if you're one of the many people who pre-ordered through Steam, you'll have to wait until August 30th to download it. It's totally possible that the file sizes change between then and now, as I'm almost positive there was going to be a day one patch, or maybe even a day zero patch, but the point is you should be prepared to sacrifice 125 gigs and 140 gigs of SSD space to Todd Howard if you're planning on playing Starfield. With how gigantic games are nowadays, I guess this file size isn't really that surprising, and let's be honest, it's certainly not as bad as Warzone, which has a frankly absurd file size of 175 gigabytes you'll need. But if you want a silver lining here, it's that Starfield is a freaking huge game that certainly earns that giant file size. It can be pretty frustrating for smaller scale linear games to be over 100 gigs nowadays, but rest assured Bethesda is making use of all of those 140 gigs because Starfield is about to be insane. Although it's pretty crazy to think about just how small games used to be. I mean, Fallout New Vegas is only about 10 gigabytes with all of the DLC on PC. Granted, texture files were much smaller back in the day on the Xbox 360, but it's pretty crazy to think about just how much bigger game files have gotten over the last decade. Getting back into the Starfield news though, there's been a ton of controversy recently over the lack of DLSS, but luckily there's also been a bit of development on this. Now, if you don't know what DLSS stands for, it is Deep Learning Super Sampling, which is an AI-powered graphical feature available to NVIDIA RTX graphics cards. According to a recent data mine, Starfield is not going to be supporting DLSS officially on the PC, which is definitely a disappointment, but it was also recently confirmed that a modder who's going to be getting Skyrim will be porting a DLSS mod to the game, so DLSS will be supported via a modification. Now, there was rumors that they were going to get a review copy, but we really don't know if that's the case or not. Either way, this means that DLSS 2 and likely DLSS 3 won't be available at launch, but we will likely get them in the form of a mod on PC. You won't be completely at a loss though for DLSS, and obviously if you're someone who doesn't care about DLSS in the first place, this whole situation doesn't affect you at all. But if you'd like to play Starfield with DLSS, just know that you'll have to use a mod. Now, speaking of mods, it's a little unclear right now what the modding situation on Starfield will be for launch, but we recently got some promising reports from inside sources. Obviously, since this is a Bethesda RPG, there will likely be extensive modding capabilities on the PC. Even though Todd Howard made some vague statements about the return to Creation Club, some internet detectives recently discovered changes to the Starfield Steam EULA and added references to Creation Club, which is more confirmation that the club will be returning for Starfield. Now, there are a few ways you could take this news. On one hand, you could obviously take this as a negative because Creation Club was a bit of a controversial addition to Fallout 4 due to how it impacted the PC community, although it's safe to say that Bethesda learned their lesson and probably won't try to pull the same thing again. But on the other hand, you could take this as a great bit of news because it basically confirms that some kind of mod support will be available on the Xbox version of Starfield. And sure, it will likely come with a fee, but mods on consoles are a great thing, and I'm hoping that Bethesda knows just how valuable this could be. As long as the PC modding community isn't hindered by Bethesda's antics, I think Xbox getting access to the Creation Club for Starfield is a fantastic thing, and I can't wait to see what awesome things come from it. Now, speaking of mods, a lot of people were expecting Starfield to have some good old-fashioned Bethesda bugs. Games like Skyrim, Fallout 3, and Fallout 76 were basically known for their bugs, and many classic RPGs from Bethesda are essentially impossible to get through without experiencing a handful of technical hiccups. But according to some leaked early impressions of Starfield, this isn't actually the case anymore. According to Tyler McVicker, who got the access to the game early and has shared some of his thoughts online, he didn't experience a single bug after 15 hours of playtime, which is pretty insane. So it looks like the community isn't going to have to fix this one, which is great news. Hopefully all of the extra time testing was put to good use. Tyler McVicker also shared some of his early thoughts about the game on Discord, allegedly, and from the sound of it, this game is going to be something really special. Granted, I'm not sure if he was supposed to do this, but he shared a lot of his thoughts on the game on Discord, and everything sounds really good so far. Now, according to him, Starfield starts off a little bit slow, as it doesn't want to overwhelm you with the sheer number of systems and choices, so the first couple of hours are a little weird as the player tries to get their bearings together and wrap their head around everything that Bethesda is throwing at them. But once the main story gets going after a few hours in, he says, the game really gets good. In one Discord message, McVicker said this, and I quote, "It's mind-blowing how good this game looks for it being on the creation engine," and in another, he simply said, "Yes, this game is something, I'll tell ya." It seems the only bit of criticism levied so far against Starfield from early impressions is that the first few hours can be a bit overwhelming, but honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, it's a large-scale RPG, and if I'm not overwhelmed within the first few hours, something is really wrong. If anything, I think it's a good thing that Bethesda seems to have intentionally front-loaded all of the complicated stuff at the beginning of the game so you could wrap your head around it before the main story starts. That way you can just get completely immersed in the experience instead of having to learn things on the fly when the stakes are higher. But what do you guys think about all of this information on Starfield? As you guys know, Starfield is set to launch on September 6th, but the early access period begins on September 1st. So we are literally right around the corner at this point. The game will be playable through Xbox Game Pass on PC and Xbox from day one, but that hasn't stopped it from completely dominating the sales charts on both Xbox and PC. It's currently unclear if Bethesda's planning on doing another round of collector's editions, but keep your eyes open if you plan on getting that, especially if you're one of the people who missed out on that before it's completely sold out. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you're excited for Starfield, drop a like on this video, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.